Now we're going to go through a very common query that people use VIMS for, which is to determine how many countries have introduced a particular vaccine in the world, as well as when they introduced the vaccine. To get this type of information, you should go to a vaccines custom report, click on the Vaccines tab, and click on Vaccine Experience Custom Report. Let's look for how many countries have introduced pneumococcal conjugate vaccine. So we'll click on the pneumo vaccine, click Next. Let's see how many Gavi eligible countries have introduced it. We'll decide to look at phase 2, which is 72 countries, now 73 because of South Sudan. Click Next. We will decide to look at all regions, so you do not have to click anything if you want to include all regions. So click Next. And we'll also look at all World Bank income groups, as well as the current status of the vaccine program as opposed to the historical status. To use historical status, you could click on Choose a Year, let's say 2005, and find out how many countries have introduced a vaccine in 2005. Now, this is to narrow the output, which means that if you click on any of these buttons, you will only include countries that have, let's say, universally introduced pneumococcal conjugate vaccine. So we'll stick with this. Click Next. We decided that we wanted to get the date of their universal introduction as well. So we will click on Actual Universal Introduction Rate. If we clicked on any of the other ones, we could get that information, but only for the countries that have universally already introduced the vaccine. We can also choose World Bank income group of these countries to get an idea of what income groups are introducing the vaccine now. Click Next. Here is a list of the 18 countries that are Gavi Phase 2 eligible that have currently introduced pneumococcal vaccine. So just to know the number of countries that have universally introduced, at this step you will find the list and the number. To actually get the information that we chose to export, click on Get Report. Here's the information for these countries. Often it's difficult to look at this information within this setting, so usually we'll export this to Excel. Click Excel and select the format and export. Here's the data we chose to export in Excel format. As you can see, all vaccine custom reports include the vaccine that we decided to study, the eligibility criteria of the countries we chose. We chose an output to find out what the World Bank income group is of these countries. In this way, we can sort and find out how many low-income countries that are Gavi eligible have introduced versus how many low or middle-income countries have introduced. Vaccine use status column allows us to see the type of introduction program in these two columns as well. We chose to only include countries that had universally introduced pneumococcal conjugate vaccine, so that is why all of these are the same. Key details often indicates aspects of the introduction that we have learned on the VIMS team. And then here is the actual date of universal introduction. These can be sorted within the Excel format to determine when countries introduced and potentially make graphs or pie charts of dates of introduction. And the final column involves details of the introduction dates. Sources for the introduction dates, as well as anything else, can be found within VIMS in the Details section under the subtabs.